Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Wednesday, September 23rd edition of StudentLoanJustice.org live stream. Student loan justice, yeah, yeah. Hope everybody's doing well out there. If you're new to the group, welcome. We're glad that you found us. What took you so long? We are the oldest, largest, and pretty much only true citizens group actually fighting for student loan justice. We've been around for 15 years now. We've been featured top story on 60 Minutes and Los Angeles Times, New York Times, NPR, PBS, Fox News, Vice News, Rolling Stone, Fast Company, CCTV, many other places. Most recently, Fox Business, I might add. Last week, we actually made the little ticker thing that goes back and forth, forth on the bottom of the screen on Fox News, so that was kind of cool. We are expecting to be doing some more national interviews very soon, some good stories coming out. Let me back up for a minute, if you're new to the group, for your benefit. We've been around for 15 years. We were fighting very moderately for the return of bankruptcy protections to student loans. 15 years. Congress failed. The president, going back 3 presidents, failed us. It is now a failed lending system. We are now calling by petition on the president, whether this one or the next, to cancel all federally owned student loans by executive order. The president can do this without needing congressional approval, congressional appropriation. In other words, without needing to pay for this loan cancellation. And the president can do this without adding 1 penny to the national debt. There is no better way to stimulate the economy. And make no mistake, folks, I'm going to say it again, and this is even before the coronavirus. This was a failed lending system with a capital F. Toast. Done. Over the cliff. Put a fork in it. The lending system is failed. So, I'm very happy to say we have 603,000 signatures on the petition right now. To those of you who are not new, let me just say, keep contacting news organizations and telling them to report on the petition. You don't have to answer any questions. We will answer all the tough questions. We can do all the heavy lifting. We've been doing this for years. We've been sharpening this blade to a razor's edge. We can answer all the tough questions, but you have to set them up, and we will knock them down. 3 weeks ago, we started a little press push, and very quickly, we ended up getting featured, as I said, on Fox News and Newsweek. We did interviews with all kinds of places, Yahoo News, etc. It really was starting to go viral. And then, and this is a good thing, but the leading Democrats, Elizabeth Warren and Chuck Schumer, essentially stole our thunder. They literally took our idea about calling on the president to cancel student loans. They did a Senate resolution calling on President Trump to cancel student loans by executive order. So, good on us. We actually really started something, folks, because now this is in play. Now, I have to be honest and say that what the Democrats put forward was crap. It was just nonsense. They said, President Trump, you should really cancel up to $50,000 in student loan debt. Well, up to $50,000 could mean absolutely anything. Could mean 1 cent. It could mean 10 cents. Could mean anything. So it's very untrustworthy. If they were being honest, they would have said just exactly the same thing that we're saying, which is cancel all federally owned student loans. That's 85% of all student loan debt is owned directly by the federal government. So, but this stuff works, guys. This pushing the media is working well right now. We are in play. For the past 2 days, we've been blitzing President Trump, reiterating our call. We basically said, If you want to get the votes of the 44 million people in the country who have federal student loans, then you need to do this. Because right now they're probably heading Biden's way. So for the past 2 days we pushed Trump. Today and tomorrow we are pushing Biden, because right now Biden has not made that pledge. He has not pledged to cancel federally owned student loans as president. We need to push him to make that pledge. We also need candidate Biden to pledge that as president on day one, he will also he will order the Secretary of Education and its contractors to stop opposing student loan borrowers in bankruptcy court. That's very important, folks, because even if and when the president cancels all the federally owned student loans that he can, there will still be 15% of loans that cannot be canceled by the president. And it's very important that at a minimum, we get bankruptcy protections returned to those loans. So there are two things that we're fighting for, folks. Number one, it's a failed lending system. The loans have got to go. Number two, the loans that cannot be canceled by executive order, we've got to at least have our bankruptcy rights back. That will solve this problem. So that gives me a little bit of a segue. And by the way, if you have any questions or comments, throw them out right now. I'm doing this live on Facebook. You won't get a chance if you're watching this on YouTube. But if you're on Facebook, you have any questions, comments, please throw them out. I'm very happy to respond to them in situ. So yeah, tonight's topic is the thing about private loans. So, as I said, we are calling on the president to cancel all federally owned student loans. It's about 85% of all loans. But 15% of all loans, the other 15% that are not federally owned, cannot be canceled by the president by executive order. So these include, obviously, private loans where you go to a bank, say, give me a loan, I'm using it for college. So, typically you have a little higher interest rate. One thing you need to know, though, about these truly wholly private loans is that they do, unlike federal loans, they do have statutes of limitations. So if you're in trouble on your truly private loans, then you want to be aware of that. You want to research the statute of limitation laws in your state before you make any bold moves. Now, here's the thing. Usually, literally 80% of the time on our group or by email or people that I talk to, they'll say, yeah, I have private student loans, Fed loan servicing I'm going with, or I'm going through Nelnet, or I'm going through Navy, or I'm going through Sallie Mae. 80% of the time that people say that and they think they have private loans, they don't. They do not have private loans. They have loans that are owned by private. They have the older style loans, the FFLP loans. So in other words, a private company like Nelnet or Sallie Mae may own those loans, but the federal government is guaranteeing those loans. So let me say that again. You may think you have private loans, but if you're not 100% sure, you need to call whoever you make payments to. Call them, your servicer, and ask them point blank, do you own my loans, or do you own my loans completely, or is there a federal guarantee on my loans? In other words, are these federally guaranteed or federally owned loans? And if they are, they will be legally obliged to say yes. And remember also, you may have loans that are actually not only guaranteed, but even owned by the federal government. Those are the so-called direct loans. But even still, You may be writing checks to Sallie Mae or Navien or Fed Loan Servicing or Great Lakes or that's about it, basically. But that does not mean your loans are private. There are very few truly, wholly private loans out there. Truly, wholly private loans comprise only about maybe, at this point, 7 or 8% of all student loans. Something like 85% of all loans are either owned or guaranteed by the federal government. So find that out. Now, so an executive order, like the one we're calling for, will indeed cancel all the loans that are owned directly by the federal government. Now, for the older style loans, they're kind of a hybrid, right? They're owned by private companies, but they're guaranteed by the federal government. These are FFEL, or some people call them, I call them FFELP loan, Federal Family Education Loan Program loans. It's an acronym. So if you're over the age of probably 45 or so, you very well may have, and you have a guarantor that's hovering over your shoulders if you have defaulted loans, then yeah, you probably have the older style loans. And that's like, the last I checked, it was like $225 billion or so out of the 1.6 or so trillion outstanding. So be sure you know about that. Now, the president can cancel the loans that are owned directly by the federal government tomorrow. For FFELP loans, and remember we had this problem recently during the coronavirus when they did the repayment suspension, where people that had these older hybrid FFELP loans, it was kind of hard to get out of the repayment, to make use of the repayment suspension, because some of the lenders would do it, others didn't want to do it, and some dragged their feet, and blah, 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 blah. So if you have FFELP loans, your loans cannot be canceled directly by the president by executive order. And that's important because, this is a failed lending system, folks. And one way or the other, these loans have got to go away. If you are already in default on your FFELP loans, then I strongly recommend you call your guarantor and you say, I demand that you transfer my loans at once directly to the Department of Education. And they should do it. I think by law they're required to. But I would recommend that. And if you are not in default on your FFELP loans, I would very strongly recommend that you look very seriously into consolidating those loans out of the FFELP program and into the direct program, so that they are indeed owned directly by the federal government. That way, this executive order will apply to them. And this is something you can go to the Department of Education, and they can walk you through that. You don't need to go through any third-party nonsense and pay people money. Don't do that. Don't waste your money. Because remember, at this point, folks, any money that you sign for in additional loans through consolidation, or any money you might pay a third party, that's all down a rat hole. In my opinion, this lending system is absolutely toast. And there's really no two ways about that. 80% of all all federal student loan borrowers, they were never going to be able to repay their loans. 80% of them. And that was before the coronavirus. So, and really, this is such a vicious, nationally threatening, unconstitutional, borderline slavery-like lending system. It is a very unpatriotic, not just unwise, but unpatriotic thing to do, to pay them any money. This is a vicious, predatory, nationally threatening beast that we have on our backs here, folks. Do not feed that beast. By feeding it, by paying into them, you only encourage, enable, and strengthen that beast. You only ensure that it will go on longer and longer, maybe even onto the next generation of citizens. We can't have that. This lending system has got to be taken to the bathroom and drowned in the tub. if not by executive order, then by popular consent. But that by popular consent gets tricky and messy, and people could die. There could be a lot of civil unrest and other very dystopian things that go along with that. We are trying right now for that first thing. Executive order is absolutely what needs to happen. Now, as I said, thanks to us, and I'm not kidding, folks, we are the reason that Elizabeth Warren and Chuck Schumer are echoing our call and calling on President Trump to cancel loans by executive order. Now, I don't trust anything that they said. And by the way, we're a nonpartisan group, folks. We have no love for the Democrats. We have maybe even less love for the Republicans, quite frankly. But we are not beholden to either party. We don't play that game. All we care about is getting these loans gone. And so believe me when I tell you, we are unbiased and we only tell the truth. And that's why we have managed to stay here doing this, fighting this fight only and completely for the citizens for so many years. So make no mistake, we are in play right now, folks. These loans could get canceled. And the fact that we are in play makes us the strongest, biggest, most, Godzilla-like animal in this presidential election. 4 years ago, we didn't have anything to vote for. Neither Trump nor Hillary had anything meaningful for us. The 55 million borrowers and cosigners out there, 44 million federal student loan borrowers, 80% of whom are losing sleep over their loans. You're probably in that 80%. If you know 5 people who have federal student loans, 4 of them are freaking out about them, whether they tell you or not. That is enough people to turn a landslide loss into a landslide win in this presidential election. And the ice is now cracked. Joe Biden has a pretty terrible platform right now, and we're pushing him very hard, believe me. And it is getting better, but we'll see where we're at come November 3rd. But even Joe Biden mouthing the words bankruptcy protections, and he says that he is going to fight to return bankruptcy to student loans. I don't believe it. But at least he's saying that. And at least mouthing the words loan cancellation. Right now, he goes, yeah, I've got a loan cancellation up to $10,000. Whatever. But even him mouthing those words is enough to sway a very large number of those 44 million distressed student loan voters in the country. So right now, if the election were held tomorrow, and really, his plan does suck, but even him mouthing those words gives him the edge with those voters. So Donald Trump right now would have a very hard time winning the election, even if he's doing better in the polls now than when Hillary, this time 4 years ago, between him and Hillary. He may be looking a little better in the polls, but as I said, the student loan issue is now in play. We are the big dog in the room. We're way bigger than healthcare, way bigger than immigration, way bigger than every other presidential issue you can point to. I know that sounds crazy, but think about it. Name the biggest political issues in the campaign right now. Healthcare, immigration, gun control, you name it. Those issues are well defined. The partisan people, the party people have already sliced and diced and carved the battle lines all around all those issues. So everybody pretty much knows where they stand on those. You can pull a million people here, a million people there on the boundaries. But those are very well-defined issues. The student loan issue is the wild freaking West. Neither party, up until this election where we find ourselves in right now, neither party has managed to effectively draw partisan battle lines around this issue. We are the biggest voter bonanza to come around since I literally cannot think of a bigger voter bonanza. Certainly not in my lifetime. So guys, we carry a very big stick, and I'm asking you, if you care about getting these loans gone, and I think you do, and the founders are on our side, we are absolutely correct. These loans need to be deleted. if you agree with that, then you have to work for it. You, sitting there right now, have to do everything you can to get as many people as you know to jump on our group, but most importantly, sign that petition. If you know 5 people with student loans, 4 of them are freaking out about them. 4 of them, we're never going to be able to repay them. And whether they told you or not, that's just the truth. It's just math. Get them onto this group, but more importantly, get them signing our petition. The third thing that everybody should be doing right now is, well, there's 4 things. The third thing is contact a news organization. It could be Rachel Maddow. It could be Rush Limbaugh. It could be Oprah. It could be, you name it, Joe Rogan. I don't care. Ellen DeGeneres. Tom Brokaw. I don't care. It doesn't matter. We will talk to any and all news media. That works. And it's been working. And certainly over this week and last week, it worked really freaking well. But we have to continue that. Because when you do nothing, nothing happens. This is your problem. These are your loans. And if we've learned nothing else over the past 15 years, it's that when you sitting there do nothing, when you sit there on your ass and wait and watch and worry, and just assume that somebody else is going to pull your weight, it never happens. So get off your ass and help us, because we need you and you need us. And we are the center of the universe. There are no other groups actually fighting for student loan cancellation strategies that will actually work. All the other nonsense you see from Congress, from the presidential candidates, that's all bullshit. They are all calling, except for the Chuck Schumer, Elizabeth Warren thing, every other loan cancellation plan out there requires Congress to raise a tax or somehow pay for loan cancellation. And I'm telling you, folks, that is the swamp. That's bullshit. Those plans will never work. They will never work. Only our plan, executive order, will work. And by the way, the Schumer-Elizabeth Warren plan is nonsense too, because they're calling for up to $50,000. I already said that. Their plan is bogus, but it sounds good. So yeah, folks, we're the center of the universe. I just told you 3 things that you need to be doing. The 4th thing is, come on, think for yourself. We're all adults here. We've all at least been to college. We're hopefully maybe a little smarter than the average bear. We can think we all have unique skills, talents, abilities. And, you know, I'm not the guy who has every single idea about how to get the media interested, how to get people onto our petition, how to get people into our group. Think for yourself. Come up with something. And if you do something novel and fun and unique and it works, let us know, because everybody else needs to know about that. We are very happy to be the sharing point for information from you about what works and maybe even what doesn't work. So come on, guys. We've got like less than a month before people start mailing in their ballots. Like we have like 4 true weeks, 28 days before people are going to start mailing in their ballots, maybe even earlier. So time is getting very critical. And what we do in the next 4 weeks will absolutely determine whether these loans are gone by November 3rd because President Trump does the right thing and cancels them, whether they are gone by January 20th because Joe Biden makes that pledge and he wins the election, and he is duty-bound, honor-bound, and maybe even contractually bound to cancel these loans by executive order because he put it in writing, or whatever the case may be. It all depends on how hard me, you, our state chapter leaders, and everybody who signed the petition, and everybody who is listening to my voice right now, how hard they work. You know, I would, frankly, depending on how much you owe, and you probably owe a lot, I would make this like a part-time job. I'm not kidding you. I would spend a couple hours every day pasting the link to the petition in everywhere you can possibly think of where people will see it, contacting reporters, twittering it a lot to influencers, famous people, celebrities, etc., who you think might retweet it and stuff like that, or whatever else you can think of. But do that, folks. We've never been in a better position than we are right now. I'm going to cut this short. Well, not short. I went 4 minutes over. I apologize for that. Ed will be with you tomorrow. I will be with you on probably Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, depending on how things go. But dudes, things are happening quickly. So check back into this group, Facebook.com/groups/SLJ group. Or if you're on YouTube, still do that. Come to studentloanjustice.org. Click on the Facebook link or whatever. Find us on Facebook if you can. That's where the action is. Join your state chapter group, and you can find that at the website, studentloanjustice.org. Come on, guys. It's time to rock and roll. If ever you're going to get off your ass, the next 28 days is it. The next week really is it as well. So, let's hang together, and let's get this sucker done. Let's get these loans gone so we can move on with our lives. Student loan justice, guys. We're stronger than you think. Hang in there. Good luck. Godspeed. And God bless.